Um, Trump suggesting that undocumented immigrants who commit crimes or commit murder have bad genes. Bad genes. Bad genetics. Trump suggests that undocumented immigrants who commit murder have bad genes because this guy is the epitome of peak human genetics. This man only gained a visible chin after he gained a vagina under it. I'm just telling the truth. Let's just all tell the facts. Like, it wasn't until he had this going on that we could see where the chin ended and began. Let's just keep it 100. Now we can see the outline of it. But before, we couldn't really tell what was going on. Trump's never really been a chinny guy. Or a dude with a jaw. Let's keep it 100, bro. Like, let's just keep it a stack, bro. Former President Trump on Monday suggested undocumented immigrants who commit murder have bad genes. In the latest example of the former president using dehumanizing rhetoric as he tries to stoke fears about those in the country illegally. In a radio interview on the Hugh Hewitt Show, Trump again distorted statistics on immigration and crime. I call it migrant crime. You know what's crazy about this man Trump, bro? Is this guy literally sat there and said immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. This reminds me of when he said, when he was accused of saying that the troops were suckers and losers. Why would I say that? I would never say that. But this is the same guy who said, I like people who weren't captured. He was accused of calling developing nations shithole countries, denied it, but then told Congress women of color to go back to their crime-infested countries. And now here we have him saying that illegal immigrants who commit murder have something bad in their genes. I don't believe for 1 second that Trump thinks only the murderers have bad genes. Because a few months back, it was they're poisoning the blood of our country. He didn't specify what he meant by that. Now he's saying the murderers have bad genes. This kind of language is insane. Because we know it doesn't stop there. So Trump again distorted statistics on immigration and crime to attack Vice President Kamala Harris as he falsely claimed she was allowing people to come through an open border, 13,000 of which were murderers. You know, now a murderer, I believe this, it's in their genes. And we got a lot of bad genes in our country right now. And that begs the question, if a murderer has bad genes, what does that make Donald Trump? Someone who is told that his supporters had weapons on January 6th. Someone who knew his supporters had broken into the Capitol and stayed silent for 3 hours. Someone who knew his vice president's life was in danger. Someone who, after the situation was caused by him and Ashley Babbitt was killed, still chose to run for office again, despite the fact that his second attempt got people killed. Donald Trump knew someone could die, and he kept going. What does that say about the genetics of the Trump family? If Donald Trump is capable of indirectly causing the deaths of others in the commission of a crime, what does that make him? In a lot of southern states, this would get Donald Trump locked up for murder. If you create and instigate a situation in which someone is killed in the commission of a crime, you can get murder and you don't even have to pull the trigger. In a lot of southern states, Donald Trump would be standing trial for murder right now in the death of Ashley Babbitt. Swear to God. Donald Trump has the audacity to condemn the genes of others who commit murder, despite the fact that he caused the death of an innocent woman who supported him, who was manipulated and lied into believing the election was stolen, broke into the Capitol, forced the hand of the security of the law enforcement in the Capitol to take her life. And Donald Trump comes out of all of that deciding that other people have bad genes. And the reality is, I'm no fan of murderers. I'm not sympathetic to murderers. The problem is, I'm not going to pretend with Trump supporters that his language stops at murderers. It doesn't. Because now we're venturing into race realism. This is the same guy who said that they're poisoning the blood of our country. This is the guy who had an election ad that talked about the Fourth Reich. Believe these people when they show you who they are. He might have used the word murderer here, but trust and believe he means brown people coming into the country. They're poisoning the blood of our country. He means brown people who come into this country illegally, not just the murderers. CNN has reached out to the Trump campaign for comment. It was the latest instance of Trump using dehumanizing and disparaging rhetoric as he targets undocumented immigrants and vows mass deportations if he's re-elected. By the way, Trump and Vance are still dodging the question about whether they're going to separate citizens, children who were born here, from their parents who came here illegally. They still won't answer the question. They dance and prance around it. They don't even have empathy enough to say, okay, you came here illegally. You don't seem to have committed any crime since you came here. You had kids here. You've been working a job. You've been doing your thing. All right, you can stay, but this is it. Like, we're not just gonna, like, this is it. Like, you can stay. They can't even do that. They don't even have the empathy, the sympathy, the empathy, and the compassion enough to help their fellow man. Zero. And these are people who want to shove the Bible in your face, but they can't even be, like, compassionate in the way that Jesus asked them to be. And these are the people who want to dictate what this nation should look like in the Word of God. Somehow. Trump has made curbing illegal immigration a central part of his 2024 campaign message and regularly uses inflammatory and degrading language when describing undocumented immigrants. Last fall, Trump said in an interview that undocumented immigrants were poisoning the blood of our country and using language that is often employed by white supremacists and nativists in comments that drew rebuke from civil rights groups. Trump has also spread false conspiracy theories about Haitian migrants eating pets in Springfield, Ohio. Trump has also previously invoked genetics on the campaign trail, telling supporters in Minnesota at a campaign stop in 2020, "You have good genes." A lot of it is about the genes, isn't it? Don't you believe? The racehorse theory, you think we're so different? You have good genes in Minnesota. Racehorse theory comes from the idea in horse breeding that selective breeding produces superior bloodlines. Donald Trump, for damn sure, does not have good genes. This nigga can't even sell water. I know street and hood niggas who can sell water more effectively than Donald Trump. You don't, like Trump, you don't come from an esteemed, like, elite bloodline. You are one of the most embarrassing, like, literally one of the most embarrassing bloodlines in American history, the Trump family. Talking about the people in Minnesota have good genes. I believe the reason why he's saying it is because people in the Midwest, a lot of the white people in the Midwest are of Scandinavian descent. And we all know the amount of glazing that white nationalists do towards Scandinavian people. Super glaze, big glaze, thick glaze, pause. The glazing that white nationalists do of Nordic peoples is immense. And it looks like Trump is in on all of that. He knows all about that stuff. You have good genes. You have good genes. Lord have mercy, bro. Grown ass man talking about you have good genes. Propagating the idea that migrants who commit crime It's in their genes. The same guy who got one of his supporters killed because he incited an insurrection and tried to commit fraud and tried to use his supporters as a battering ram against democracy, our capital, and our politicians. That man who was not above getting his own fellow servicemen killed, his own fellow public servants or whatever the case might be, he was not above getting other people in Washington killed for his own ends, but he thinks he has the position to condemn the genes of others. Again, I have no sympathy for murderers. Not a fan of murderers. Couldn't give a shit about murderers. But this language does not stop with murderers. You know it, I know it, everyone knows it. That's just the facts, you know? It's just the facts.